بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى خصوصا على سيد الرسل وخاتم الأنبياء وعلى آله الأزكياء وأصحابه الأتقياء أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولا تحسبن الذين قتلوا في سبيل الله أموات بل أحياء عند ربهم يرزقون صدق الله العظيم. We were discussing last week the incidents that took place in the third year Hijri and highlighting the great incident of the Battle of Uhud. And just to review and remind ourselves, the main incident that took place in the first year Hijri, some of the main incidents were the masjid was built of the Prophet ﷺ, the adhan was established, people were called together for Jama'at. These were some of the main incidents that took place in the first year after migration. In the second year after migration, out of the main incidents that took place, the highlight was the Battle of Badr. Always remember this. The highlight of the second year after migration was the Battle of Badr. This is the main incident that took place. In which month did this take place in? The month of Ramadan. So the Sahaba, while they were fighting in the Battle of Badr, they were actually all fasting. This is a great test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even though they were in the battle and there was a possibility of them excusing themselves if they asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but they were such that they preferred to be fasting while they were fighting instead of enjoying themselves on the battlefield while eating and drinking. They wouldn't be enjoying themselves, but nourishing their bodies at the same time. They were actually being nourished spiritually while they were fasting and fighting in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The third incident that took place, actually the third year after migration, the main incident that took place in that year was the Battle of Uhud, as we've been discussing for the past 2 weeks. The Battle of Uhud was the main incident. Now we move forward, leaving the third year Hijrah, some closing incidents to just mention that took place in the third year after migration, the third year Hijri. The Prophet ﷺ, he married the daughter of Umar radiallahu ta'ala, Hafsa bint Umar radiallahu ta'ala. So therefore Umar radiallahu anhu, he was also related to the Prophet ﷺ with the very same relationship that Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu had with the Prophet ﷺ. Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu, he was the father-in-law of the Prophet ﷺ. And Umar radiallahu anhu, he was also from the Susar of the Prophet ﷺ. He was the father-in-law of the Prophet ﷺ. His daughter, Hafsa radiallahu anha, she was a direct wife of the Prophet ﷺ. And another incident that took place in the third year Hijri was the birth of Imam Hassan radiallahu ta'ala. Imam Hassan was the grandson of the Prophet ﷺ. Who was born to Hazrat Fatima radiallahu anha, who was the daughter of the Prophet ﷺ. So he was born, and then 50 days after Imam Hassan was born, Hazrat Fatima radiallahu anha again became pregnant with Imam Hussain radiallahu ta'ala. So these were some of the closing incidents that took place in the third year Hijri. Now in the fourth year after migration, fourth year Hijri, there were 4 or 5 great incidents that took place. 2 of them that I'd like to discuss today, and inshallah if time permits, we'll also discuss the latter 2. But we'll kind of focus on the first 2 initially. The first incident that I'd like to indicate towards that took place in the fourth year after migration is the incident which is referred to as Waqi'a Raj'i. Waqi'a Raji'. The incident of Raji'. Now, this incident of Raji' is a very unique incident because it's actually narrated in many Sahih books of Hadith, and it's a very touching incident that took place during the life of the Prophet ﷺ. What actually happened was that there were some people that came to the Prophet ﷺ, and they said to the Prophet ﷺ, Ya Rasulullah ﷺ, give us permission, we are interested in Islam, give us some Sahaba who can come back and teach us. So the Prophet ﷺ, first of all, he was in 2 minds and wasn't sure whether these people even deserved to be, to take Sahaba with them, to take the companions with them. But then they insisted, so the Prophet ﷺ, he agreed, and he sent how many Sahaba? He sent 10 Sahaba with him. 10 Sahaba. 70 Sahaba, that's the same year, but next incident that took place. So the Prophet ﷺ, he sent 10 Sahaba with him. These 10 companions, they traveled along with this person, and they were going to this person, to their town, to their community. And on the way there, what happened was that these people, the 10 Sahaba, were ambushed. And 200 kuffar, they came and surrounded them. And the Sahaba, they decided to climb on a little hill. So 10 of the Sahaba, they climbed on the hill, and they, tried to defend themselves, withdrew their weapons, and they were ready for combat. So the 200 men said to the Sahaba, Ridwanullahi ta'ala majma'in, that, how about we avoid war? You guys come down. You guys come down, we give you aman, we give you our peace, we give you our word, and no one will hurt you at all. So the Amir of the 10 people, the Prophet ﷺ, whenever he dispatched a group of people, whenever Sahaba they left Medina Munawwara, there was always an Amir who was appointed to them. This is something really important that me and you should always adopt into ourselves. If we ever leave, we ever decide to go for a trip, even if it's a family trip, if there's more than 2 people, one of the 2 should be an Amir. If you're traveling over 48 miles, or if you're going for a trip, you and your family are going somewhere, you and your wife are going somewhere, namingly you should say that of this trip, I will be the Amir, or of this trip, you will be the Amir. There should always be an Amir and a leader of the trip. Especially if there's friends traveling, or if there's more than 3 or 4 people, then there should definitely be an Amir. The responsibility of the Amir is not to just boss around or order people what to do. The responsibility of the Amir in a trip is Sayyid al-Qawm fi safari khadimuhum. That the leader of the Qawm, the tribe, while they are traveling, he's not the leader. What is he? He's actually their servant. It's his responsibility to serve the people, to make sure everyone's at ease, make sure everyone else's trip goes easy. So therefore there should be an Amir who looks after people, who frequently is asking. When we would travel with our teachers, every so often we'd set our teacher as the Amir. And every so often the teacher would ask all of us, all the students, is everyone thirsty? Anyone thirsty here? Does anyone need to use the washroom? Should we stop over? Anyone hungry? It's the Amir's responsibility to look after everyone and to make the decisions when there is a need to make one. So now here the companions, they were also in their trip, and the Prophet ﷺ, he sent one Sahabi as the Amir amongst them. And the Amir, he told the Sahaba that, be ready for combat. So all the Sahaba, they climbed on this hill, and there were 10 of them. And they are ready for combat. And then the people, they said, come down, we'll give you peace, we'll give you our word, we won't harm you. So the Amir said that, why should we live in your custody? Why should I live in the custody of some kafir? And he said to the people that we're ready to fight, we're not going to come down. And then the Amir, he made dua that, oh Allah, inform the Prophet ﷺ of what these people are doing and how they've traded, they've gone against their word and they're attacking us. So the Prophet ﷺ, while sitting in Medina Munawwara, immediately he was informed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet ﷺ, he called the companions and told the companions that your brothers are being attacked, and they've been and those who took them have went against their word, and they are now planning to kill the Sahaba. So make dua for them that Allah helps them. So the Sahaba Ridwanullahi ta'ala ajma'in, they began to make dua. And then while they were sitting in Medina Munawwara, and the 10 Sahaba that were there, they fought with the 200 until 7 of them, they passed away. 7 Sahaba became shaheed. There were 3 Sahaba who lived. And these 3 Sahaba, when they realized that there was only 3 of them left, and they were now fighting 200, they came down and they surrendered themselves. When they surrendered themselves, the 3 Sahaba that lived, one was Abdullah bin Tariq radiallahu ta'ala, Zayd bin Dathna radiallahu ta'ala, and Khubayb bin Adi radiallahu ta'ala. So 3 Sahaba, Abdullah, Zayd, and Khubayb radiallahu ta'ala majma'in. So now what happened is, as soon as they came down, the kuffar, they came to them and they tied them up. The first thing they did to the Sahaba was they tied them up. So Abdullah radiallahu anhu, Abdullah bin Tariq radiallahu anhu, he said that you people have already started cheating. You promised to give us peace and to let us free, and or at least keep us in your custody and safety. And the first thing you do is you tie us up. You guys are traitors. And Abdullah bin Tariq radiallahu anhu, he tried to fight back, and there were 200 of them. They attacked Abdullah bin Tariq radiallahu anhu, and they also martyred him. Only 2 Sahaba remained from the whole group. One was Zayd radiallahu anhu, and the second one was Khubayb radiallahu ta'ala. These 2 people were in prison. They were tied in chains, and they were brought to Makkah Mukarramah. Now, keeping in mind, there were 2 battles that recently took place. One in particular, the Battle of Badr, where so many of the people of Makkah were killed. And even in the Battle of Uhud, many of the people of Makkah Mukarramah were also killed. So they were just craving and waiting to take revenge. So now when these 2 people were brought in Makkah Mukarramah, Zayd radiallahu anhu and Khubayb radiallahu anhu, what happened was they put these 2 people on the market. And they said, whoever wants to buy them, come and purchase them from us. So first, a group of people came, and they purchased Safwan bin Umayyah. He came, and he purchased Zayd radiallahu anhu to take revenge off one of his relatives who had passed away in one of the battles earlier on. And then another group of people came, the children of Harith, and they purchased Khubayb radiallahu anhu. So now both of these Sahaba were purchased, and they knew why they were purchased. They were actually purchased in order to take revenge for their family members who had passed away. So they knew their fate. They knew they were both going to be killed. So Zayd radiallahu anhu, he spent some time with this Safwan bin Umayyah, and finally Safwan bin Umayyah, he ordered his men that take Zayd bin Dathna radiallahu anhu outside the limits of Makkah Mukarramah, and outside the limits of Haram, because they found the Haram to be a holy city, and they disliked to kill anyone in the holy city. So they told the people to take Zayd bin Dathna radiallahu anhu outside the limits of Haram, and they also called a group of the people of Makkah Mukarramah to witness his execution. So now Zayd bin Dathna radiallahu anhu, he was tied up, and he was taken outside of Makkah Mukarramah until he arrived in the area outside Haram, which is called Tan'im. Today we find Masjid Aisha there. If a person goes to Makkah Mukarramah and wants to perform multiple umrahs, we have to go to Tan'im to tie the ihram before we can do a second or third umrah again. Each time we have to go to the same place. So Zayd bin Dathna radiallahu anhu was tied and he was brought to Tan'im. After being brought to Tan'im, all the people were gathered there and the executor was also present there. Abu Sufyan, who at the time hadn't accepted Islam, he came to Zayd bin Dathna radiallahu anhu and said to him that, you're gone. You're going to be executed any moment now and we're going to kill you. He said that, I have a question. How would you feel that if you were resting in Medina Munawwara while the Prophet ﷺ was in your place right here? Right now the Prophet ﷺ is relaxed and he's sitting aram in Medina Munawwara. No one is there to touch him. He's in his comfort zone. And while you're here about to be killed in a second right now. How would you like the reverse of that? That you were enjoying yourself in Medina Munawwara and the Prophet ﷺ was being executed? So Zayd bin Dathna radiallahu anhu, he was about to be executed. SubhanAllah, imagine what was going through this person's mind, all the different thoughts and everything that was going through his mind, all the emotions that were attached to him, and the fear, and everything that was there with the person who's about to be executed any second. So Zayd bin Dathna radiallahu anhu, he raises his head, and he looks at Abu Sufyan in the eye, and he says to Abu Sufyan, I could never bear myself sitting in comfort while the Prophet ﷺ, even if there was a thorn to prick the foot of the Prophet ﷺ. So Abu Sufyan, he then stepped away. And he said that I've never seen anyone in my life love anyone just as the Sahaba, they love the Prophet ﷺ. It wasn't something that was just said. The person was showing it. He was out there about to be executed any second now. And he's saying that I'd rather give my life than anyone even prick a thorn in the foot of the Prophet ﷺ. So then Zayd bin Dathna radiallahu anh, he was then executed and he was made shaheed. The second companion now, the last companion who remained from the 10, Hazrat Khubayb bin Adi radiallahu anh. Now he was purchased by the children of Harith. Now he was also imprisoned inside the house. They tied him in chains and they had him, sometimes they'd have him tied in chains. Sometimes he'd just be, he'd be locked inside the house. There was no way of him going outside. So they basically purchased him and they made him into a slave. So Khubayb bin Adi radiallahu anhu, one day he was sitting in the house of the people who had purchased him. And while sitting there, one of the children was just roaming around the house and came and sat in his lap. One of the young children, they came roaming in the house and sat on his lap. And one of the women had accidentally left a blade right next to him, on not too far away. There was a blade lying there. So Khubayb radiallahu anh, the blade was next to him and he has a child in his hand. Now what would a person do? Usually they take the blade, put it to the child's head and say, get me out of here, I'll return the child back once I reach Medina Munawwara. But Khubayb radiallahu anh was sitting there, and then one of the ladies, when she saw what was happening, there was a child sitting in his lap and there was a blade right there, she started screaming and crying. That our child's gone, our child's gone, our child's gone, what's going to happen to our child? So Khubayb radiallahu anh, he first looked at the child and he realized that there was a blade next to him. He said to the lady that this isn't what the Prophet ﷺ taught us to do. These weren't the teachings of the Prophet ﷺ. And he said, let the blade stay there and let the child sit here if you wish to. No one is going to touch the child at all. And then he released the child and said, go to your mother. And the child went to the mother and the mother hugged the child. And then the lady said that I never in my life had I seen a prisoner like Khubayb radiallahu anh. He was such a righteous individual, she says, that he would be sitting there while the entire Makkah Mukarramah was in starvation because there was a drought that hit them. They didn't have rain or they didn't have any food. And Khubayb radiallahu anh, while being imprisoned in this house, he'd be sitting there enjoying grapes. And we'd ask him, where do these grapes come from? And what does he say? What does he say to the people? Inna Allah yarzuqu man yasha'u bighayri hisab. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives to whoever He wishes without any account. This is the very same thing who said? Maryam alayhi salam said to her uncle Zakaria alayhi salam. Every time كلما دخل عليها زكريا المحراب وجد عندها رزقا. Zakaria alayhi salam, whenever he came to visit Maryam alayhi salam, when she was born, her mother made a promise when she was pregnant. The mother made a promise that the child I have, my child is going to spend the entire life inside Haram, inside Bayt al-Maqdis. So there was an allocated area for her, a room where she used to sit and she used to worship in that room day and night. So Zakaria alayhi salam, who was her uncle, he was the one who used to come to her and visit her, ask if she needed anything, because he was also the one who took care of Bayt al-Maqdis, Masjid al-Aqsa in Palestine, in Palestine. So whenever he'd come there, Zakaria alayhi salam says that whenever he'd come inside the room where Maryam alayhi salam was residing, what would he find there? He'd find fruits there, he'd find all this different food there. So he'd say, Ya Maryam, Maryam, where did you get this from? Who's been visiting you? So what does she say? That hiya min indillah, this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inna Allah yarzuqu man yasha'u bighayri hisab. So then the people who were in prison, Khubayb radiallahu anh, they say he had the very same thing. He'd be sitting there in Makkah Mukarramah imprisoned in a house, but yet he'd be enjoying grapes while the entire city was starving to death. So now finally Khubayb radiallahu anh, he was chained and he was also sentenced to death. So they again chained him up and they brought him outside the limits of Haram. They brought him to Tan'im. And all the people, they'd gathered there and they were ready to execute Khubayb radiallahu anh. So Khubayb radiallahu anh, he made one last request. He said to the people that if I can make one request to pray 2 rakat before I pass away. So then the people said, go pray your 2 rakat. So Khubayb radiallahu anh, he performed his 2 rakat, and after he prayed them, he then said to the people that if I didn't fear that you guys are thinking that I'm trying to delay my death, I would have asked to pray 2 more rakat and I would have prayed them long, lengthy rakats. But then if I pray 2 more rakats and I make lengthy salah, you guys are going to think I'm scared of death. Then he said to these people that you can take my life if you want to now. And they put the rope around his neck and they were about to hang him to death. And then Khubayb radiallahu anh, he made a dua. First he began to say poetry. أَنَا لَسْتُ أُبَانِي حِينَ أُخْتَلْ مُسْلِمًا عَلَىٰ أَيِّ شِقٍّ كَانَ لِلَّهِ مَضْجَعِي. He said that as long as I'm killed as a Muslim, I don't care if I fall to my right, if I fall to my left, if I fall on my stomach, if I fall on my back. عَلَىٰ أَيِّ شِقٍّ كَانَ لِلَّهِ مَضْجَعِي. Whichever side he put me on, I don't care. As long as I die as a Muslim. And then he said that it's possible that I give my life for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and in return Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts barakah and He puts blessings in every part of my body. After he says this, he makes a dua that, oh Allah, every single one of these people, don't let them live and kill every single one of these people. These guys have oppressed me. They've made a free man into a slave and now they're executing me. And what have I done? And he makes his dua and then he passes away. And they execute Khubayb radiallahu anh. Now this action of Khubayb radiallahu anh, that he prayed 2 rakat before passing away, this action of his is considered as a sunnat of Khubayb. Because he was the first person to do this. Pray 2 rakat before he passed away. And then after this, there's many incidents of many Sahaba radwanullahi ta'ala ajma'in who prayed 2 rakat before they passed away, or many pious servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. However, the first person to do this was Khubayb radiallahu ta'ala. Khubayb radiallahu anh was the first person to ask to pray. Now imagine how much joy they had from salah. That it's as if he's saying that, I know I'm going to die, but just give me an injection to put my body out of its senses. Like, that'll make my body numb. And what is that injection he wants? He wants to pray 2 rakat salah and join his connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This was the connection they had with their salah. And he's saying, the last thing I want before I die, someone asked me, what's the last thing you want? I want 2 machine guns and a bazooka. I'm going to blow all these people up. And Khubayb radiallahu anh, what does he want? He says, the last thing I want to pray 2 rakat salah and stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There was another sahabi of the Prophet Zayd bin Haritha radiallahu anh. He was once coming back from Taif. And when he was coming back, what happened was that there was a person who offered him, he was traveling until he came to this place. And this person, he came to Khubayb radiallahu anh, Zayd radiallahu anh, and offered him a ride. Zayd radiallahu anh, he took his ride, took that person's guidance, until this person, he brought him to a jungle. When he brought Zayd bin Haritha radiallahu anh to this jungle, Zayd bin Haritha radiallahu anh, he realized that there were bodies lying around him. Like, what's this? What are these people doing here dead? So that person said, these people, they're lying here dead, in a few moments you're going to be dead too. And I'm going to take everything you have. So Zayd bin Haritha radiallahu anh said, what's this? What happened? What did I do? He said, well, this is my job. I bring people like you here, I drop them dead, and I take them away. I take all their stuff away. So Zayd bin Haritha radiallahu anh said, look, how about this? How about I make a deal with you? Why don't you let me pray 2 rakat salah before I pass away? So the person said, okay, go on. These guys also asked for the same thing. Once they heard Khubayb radiallahu anh did it, now it's the new trend, everyone wants to do it. You can also do it too. So Zayd radiallahu anh, he got off, he did his wudu, and he prayed 2 rakat salah. After praying his 2 rakat salah, he then finished, and that person said, you ready to die now? So Zayd radiallahu anh, he made a dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. What was the dua? He said, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. He made this dua, and then what happened was there was a voice that said, La taqtulhu, don't kill him. So that chor, the robber, he turned around, the bandit, he started looking around, who's here? So he couldn't see no one, so then he started dancing more. So the second time Zayd radiallahu anh, he recited, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. So then he heard another voice, La taqtulhu, don't kill him, don't dare kill that person. So then the bandit started looking around, who's here? No one's here. So he started dancing the third time. So the third time he started coming towards Zayd radiallahu anh. The third time Zayd radiallahu anh said, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. And the third time he said it, this person, he started advancing towards Zayd radiallahu anh. And then Zayd radiallahu anh says that a person came marching and rushing towards us on a horse. And he had a spear in his hand, and at the peak of his spear, right on top of his spear, there was like a fireball there. And he took the spear and put it inside that person and pulled it out. And then said to me, do you know who I am? So Zayd radiallahu anh said, I have no idea who you are. I've never seen you before. I don't recognize you. So he said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent me to save you. The first time he said, Ya Arhamar Rahimin, I was on the 7th sky. The second time he said, Ya Arhamar Rahimin, I had reached the sky of the earth. And the third time he said, Ya Arhamar Rahimin, my spear was ready to go in this person's back. and this person was made shaheed. So this is the power of praying salah when there's a need. When a person, when he prays and turns towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he makes dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what does the Prophet say in the hadith? Ad-du'a silahul mu'min. That the dua is a weapon of a believer. It's his weapon. The believer can use his dua as his weapon. And this is a practical example. That how the dua of a sahabi when he was about to be killed, then turned out to be his weapon. There was another sahabi of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. A similar incident happened. That he was traveling, and while traveling, what happened was that this person came to him, and he was going to kill him. A troll came to him, a robber came to him, and he was about to kill the sahabi. The incident I'm mentioning now, he was actually an Ansari. He was from the clan of Ansar. And this person, he had his weapon towards Abu Mu'allaq al-Ansari, his name was. He had a weapon towards the sahabi, and he said, I'm going to kill you now. So the sahabi said, why don't you just take my money and leave? So he said, no, I don't want your money, I want to kill you. I'm going to take your money later on, but I'm going to make sure I kill you first. So then the sahabi said, if you're going to kill me, let me pray 2 rak'ah salah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He didn't realize what was going to hit him now. So the sahabi, he prayed, he made his wudu. After making his wudu, he prayed his rak'ats. After praying his salah, he then made a dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The dua, I'll read the dua. It's actually the hadith. I found the hadith and I have the exact words here. The dua that he made, he said that, Ya wadud, ya dhul arsh al-majid, ya fa'alu lima turid, as'aluka bi'izzatika allati la turam, wa bimilkika alladhi la yudam, وبنورك الذي ملأ أركان العرشك أن تكفيني شر هذا اللص يا مغيث أغثني. He made this dua, and after making this dua once, a second time, a third time, again he saw a person come on a horse, really fast with a spear in his hand, and came and put the spear to this person, and the person fell dead there. Then the person on the horse asked the sahabi, the Ansari sahabi, that, do you know who I am? So the sahabi said, I don't know who you are. Who are you? You tell me. So then he says the very same thing. He said that when you made this dua, a similar thing. He said when you made this dua the first time, your dua was knocking on the doors of the sky. And then the second time you made this dua, your dua began to spread through the sky, and the angels in the sky were also repeating your dua. And the third time you made this dua, he said the third time you made this dua, what happened then was, the angels began to say, Oh Allah, there is a servant of yours who is in need and he's calling on to you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at that moment ordered me, go and help this person. And I was sent, and here I am, and I put this person to the ground. And then the angel said to the sahabi that any person who reads this, does wudu, prays 4 rakat, and then reads this dua 3 times, there is no doubt that the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will come to this person. So this is the dua that I recited. So the Sahaba radwanullahi ta'ala majma'in, this was their sunnah, that what they used to do, is that if they were given the chance, they would pray 2 rak'ah salah before they passed away. As we see with the incident of Khubayb radiallahu anhu. So initially there were 10 Sahaba. Out of the 10, 7 of them were killed on the hill. Abdullah bin Tariq was killed when he was tied up. He tried to rebel and try to fight back. He was put to the ground then. Zayd bin Dathma radiallahu anhu was executed by the family of Safwan bin Umayyah. And Khubayb radiallahu anhu was executed by the children of Harith, as we had mentioned right now. Now after they killed Zayd radiallahu anhu, they didn't stop there. What they did was they ordered, the people ordered that his body should remain hanging from the rope even after he was dead. So his dead body was hanging there on the rope. So he remained like this for many days. The Prophet ﷺ, when he heard, he ordered 2 Sahaba, Zubayr radiallahu anhu and Miqdad radiallahu anhu, to go and take down his body. So now Miqdad radiallahu anhu and Zubayr radiallahu anhu, they arrived at the scene. But they realized that there were 40 men guarding the body. There were 40 men guarding the body of Khubayb radiallahu anhu to ensure no one would take that body down. So now the Sahaba said, the Prophet ﷺ ordered us to take it down, we have to take it down somehow. So somehow they created a diversion that people went to one side, they quickly pulled the body down and they put on the horse. So now the Sahaba, they had the body. The kuffar, when they realized the body was missing, they came running to the Sahaba. These 2, Zubayr radiallahu anhu and Miqdad radiallahu anhu. They said, give us the body. Zubayr radiallahu anhu realized that he wasn't going to stand a chance to all these people, 40 of them, and there's only 2 of them. They wanted that body, and how far were they going to go before they lost the body? So Zubayr radiallahu anhu took the body and he threw it onto the ground. And when he threw it onto the ground, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered the ground, and the order of the ground sucked the body of Khubayb radiallahu anhu inside. And the body, that's therefore Khubayb radiallahu anhu is referred to as Bali'ul Ard. Bali' in Arabic means the one the earth sucked him inside. So this was a companion of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this was a great incident. Now what happened was, in this very same year, the second incident took place, the incident of Bir Ma'una. The people came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we wish to accept Islam, we want to educate our people, send some of your companions with us who can come and educate us in the sciences of deen. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he sent 70 Sahaba with him. How many? 70 Sahaba he sent with these people. Now these people, they took the 70 Sahaba, and again there was one Amir sent amongst them. The 70 Sahaba were left the Prophet ﷺ, and they were going along with the people who had come to receive them. And while they were traveling in a place, in an area where there was a well by the name of Ma'una, Bir Ma'una means the well of Ma'una, the 70 Sahaba were all attacked. And after being attacked, 67 of them were killed. How many were killed? 67. And these 67 Sahaba weren't normal Sahaba. They were actually all scholarly Sahaba. They were all scholarly, greatly educated Sahaba, and they were referred to as the Qurra, those who recited the Quran frequently, and they were very well versed in the Quran. Therefore the Prophet ﷺ chose these people to go and teach other people. If a person is being sent to call towards the path of Allah, he can't just be weak. He has to be firm and strong himself. The one who is calling someone to the path of Allah, he has to be firm and strong himself, then he can go and call other people towards the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the Prophet ﷺ, when he sent the group of 70 Sahaba to go and propagate the deen of Allah, they weren't the 70 normal people, they were the 70 solid, strong people that were sent. So these 70 Sahaba, now out of them, 67 of them were made martyr, they were made shaheed. 3 Sahaba remained. One Sahabi that remained, how he actually remained was that he was injured, and he was lying on the ground, and he was wounded, and there were dead bodies lying all around him, and he actually fainted himself too. So when the enemies came to check whether everyone was dead, it seemed as if he was dead too. So he was lying there. And then after, when he gained his conscience again, he realized that there were dead bodies around him everywhere, and everyone had been killed. And he was in a trauma, he was shocked that what happened here, how did everyone die? And he realized that all the Sahaba, all 67 of them, their heads were severed, and someone this part is cut, someone's that part is cut, and all the Sahaba are dead. And then he saw people checking, looking for the bodies, and he realized that they were just making sure that everyone was dead. So he again played as if he wasn't alive. And then after the people left, he got up, he cleaned the blood away from him, and he returned back. And later on, he lived for a few years, and he passed away. And while fighting in the battle of Khandaq, he became a shaheed later on in the Ghazwa Khandaq. The other two Sahaba, how they remained, Mundhir and Amr radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, that while the attack was happening to the other 67 Sahaba, these two actually took the animals to graze in the fields. They took the animals to graze in the fields. So they lived. Now when they found out, what happened is that while they were, all of a sudden they can hear screaming, and they can hear swords being clashed, and they can see these birds flying around and gathering around that area, so they realized something's happening, something's wrong here. So now they said, what should we do? So Amr radiallahu anhu said, let's return back to Medina Munawwara and inform the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam of what's happened. Mundhir radiallahu anhu said, what are you talking about? He said, our 67 brothers are building their pathway to Jannah, and we're going to go back to Medina Munawwara? Let's jump into paradise. So both of these people, they came and they jumped into the battlefield. Mundhir radiallahu anhu, he had the intention of shahada, and that's exactly what he got. He was also martyred in the battlefield, and he became shaheed. The second Sahabi, Amr radiallahu anhu, he was captured. And when he was captured, he then was made into a slave. And the leader of the people who had killed the Muslims, he then shaved the head of Amr radiallahu anhu and set him free. The reason why he set him free was because that his mother, the kafir, the one who had captured Amr radiallahu anhu, his mother made an oath that if so and so thing happened, she'd free a slave. So in fulfillment of his mother's oath, he freed Amr radiallahu anhu, who he thought of as being a slave. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he heard of the incident that took place, that the Sahaba were 67 or the whole 69 of them were killed, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he felt really, really sad and really grieved. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was. And he cried over this for a very long time. And for 1 full month, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he read on the qunut in the salah for them. Qunut is a dua that we read after when we stand up for our qiyam. The Imam, if there's a big situation that took place somewhere in the ummah, the Imam stands up after the salah, and he makes it when he goes into ruku. After going into ruku, he stands up, the Imam. In the second rak'ah, after the ruku, the Imam, he stands up. When he's standing up after saying Sami Allahu liman hamida, he begins to make dua. And he uses preferably the verses of the Quran and Hadith, and he makes dua while the people standing in the background, in the back line, they loudly say Amin in return of the dua that's being made. So this is like the super power of the believer. That if there's something happening in the Muslim Ummah, something that's affecting the Muslim Ummah, we should make the habit of reciting the qunut. Even our teachers would read it, and inshallah, we also try to read it if we remember, if there's a big incident that's taking place, we should also make a habit of reading the qunut in salah. So the Prophet ﷺ, he recited the qunut not for 1 or 2 days, for how long? 1 full month the Prophet ﷺ, he recited the qunut. And in the qunut particularly, the Prophet ﷺ would make dua against those people who had killed the Sahaba. The 70 Sahaba that were killed, the Prophet ﷺ particularly, he had make dua against them. So this was again one of the great incidents that took place in this year. Then there were 2 more battles that took place. The first one was Ghazwa Banu Nadir, and the second was Ghazwa Dhatul Riqa. These were 2 battles that took place. They had their incidents. There were some incidents that took place before and after and during the battles, which we won't touch on today, just namely two more battles that took place in this year, Ghazwa Banu Nadir, and the second was Ghazwa Dhatul Riqa. Now, while the Prophet ﷺ was returning from the second battle, Ghazwa Dhatul Riqa, along with the companions, the very famous incident took place where the Prophet ﷺ, he was lying down under the tree. And while he was lying down, his sword was hanging from the branch. And there's one person who hadn't accepted Islam, who was a kafir. He came and he silently slipped off the sword of the Prophet ﷺ from the branch, because the Prophet ﷺ was actually lying down and resting under a shade, resting under a tree in a shade. So there were all the Sahaba, they were all in their little areas and resting, taking their nap or sleeping. So the Prophet ﷺ, he was also secluded in his own area. So this person, he realized the Prophet ﷺ's sword was hanging there, and there was no one guarding the Prophet ﷺ. So then the Prophet ﷺ's sword, he slowly slipped it off the branch. He took out the sword of the Prophet ﷺ and he pointed it towards the neck of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ opened his eyes. What's happening? Who are you? What's happening here? So then he said to the Prophet ﷺ, "Man yamna'uka minni?" Who's going to save you? What was it? What did he say? "Man yamna'uka minni?" Who's going to save you? So the Prophet ﷺ, what was his response? Allah. He said Allah, and what happened? The sword out of that person's hand fell out, and that person fell to the ground. The Prophet ﷺ picked up the sword, and he lifted it, and put it to that person's neck, and asked the very same question again, "Man yamna'uka minni?" Who's going to save you now? So then he said to Rasulullah ﷺ, "It's your mercy that's going to save you." And the Prophet ﷺ said, "Indeed, I will have mercy on you today." And the Prophet ﷺ put the sword away and said to him, "Go." So the Sahabi, he walked a little, and he came back, and he said, "Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh," and he accepted Islam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, making a reference to this incident, the Quran says, "Wallahu ya'simuka minan nas." That is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who saves the Prophet ﷺ from the people. So this was the incident that took place in which year are we in right now? The 4th year. So if you ever hear this incident, which year is it referring to? The 4th year of Hijri. Now some incidents that took place at the end of the 4th year Hijri. First incident was that Hazrat Hussain radiallahu anhu was born in this year. As you mentioned, Hazrat Hassan was born in which year? The 3rd year. So therefore, how many years did he spend with the Prophet ﷺ? 7 years. The Prophet ﷺ passed away in which year? 10, at the end of the 10th year. So the Prophet ﷺ passed away in the 10th year Hijri. And which year was Hazrat Hassan born in? 3rd. So more or less speaking, he spent 7 years with the Prophet ﷺ. And 50 days after Hazrat Hassan was born, Hazrat Fatima then became pregnant with Hazrat Hussain radiallahu ta'ala. So he was born the following year. In which year was that? The 4th year. So how many years did Hazrat Hussain radiallahu anhu spend with the Prophet ﷺ? 6 years. So this is one of the incidents that took place. The second great incident was that the son of Uthman radiallahu anhu, Abdullah bin Uthman, he passed away in this year. And he was 6 years old. How old was he? 6 years old child. He passed away. He was the son of Uthman radiallahu anhu. The Prophet ﷺ then married 2 wives in this year. The first wife that he married in this year was Salma radiallahu anha. So in the 3rd year, who did the Prophet ﷺ marry? Hafsa. Hafsa, who was a daughter of Umar radiallahu anha. And in the 4th year, the Prophet ﷺ married 2 wives. The first being Hazrat Salma radiallahu anha. And the second one was Hazrat Zainab bint Khuzaymah radiallahu anha. These are the 2 wives of the Prophet ﷺ that he married in this year. In the final incident that I'd like to indicate towards, actually 2 more things. The first thing, the next thing was that the Prophet ﷺ, he ordered Zayd bin Thabit radiallahu anhu in this very same year to learn the language of the Jews. Because there were many contracts that were going back and forth amongst the Muslims and the Jews. And the Prophet ﷺ, he didn't trust what these people are writing, or what these people were putting into were speaking amongst one another, or the documents they were writing, whether it was accurate or not. So the Prophet ﷺ didn't trust. So he ordered Zayd radiallahu anhu to learn the language. And this within a few days, Zayd radiallahu anhu, he had mastered their language. And he was speaking it more fluent than those people could speak it. And he was writing full documents, and he'd become a professional translator in the Jewish language, in their Hebrew. And so this was the year the Prophet ﷺ, he ordered Zayd radiallahu anhu to learn Zayd bin Thabit radiallahu anhu to learn the language. And in this very same year is the verse was revealed in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to cover themselves in their hijab, to cover themselves in their clothing, in their cloaks, to ensure that no person would look at them with the evil eye. So these are some of the incidents that took place in the 3rd year of migration, in the 4th year of migration. We pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the ability to learn from the incidents that took place during the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Sahaba radhiyallahu ta'ala anhum ajma'in. The sacrifices they made, may Allah reward them greatly in this world and the hereafter, and give us the ability to also make such sacrifices, not only amongst in our community, but among, there's a need for us to make a sacrifice within against ourselves. You know, where the Sahaba made sacrifices in the battlefield. What does the Prophet say in one hadith? When they were coming back from a battle, what did the Prophet say? What did the Prophet say? When they were coming back from a battle, the Prophet he said to the Sahaba that we're returning from the small battle to the larger battle. That we're returning from a small battle to a big battle. Why was he saying this? Because that battlefield was somewhat easy. You can at least swing your sword and kill the person in front of you. But now you're no longer in the battlefield, and in the battlefield you can see your enemy. You know who your enemy is. You now have a weapon. You know where your enemy is. A and B together put the enemy to the ground. But now the Prophet ﷺ was telling the Sahaba, now we're returning from the small battle and we're coming to the big battle. We're now stepping in the ring with shaitan, with your own desire, with your own soul. That a person now, he can't see his enemy. A person now can't understand the tricks of his enemy. Now the person doesn't even know which tools to use to attack his enemy. So the Prophet ﷺ, he told the Sahaba that you are returning from the small battle to the big battle. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us success in our big battle too, inshallah, and also in all the battles that we face in our life. May Allah grant us all success and make us amongst those who truly follow the pathway of the Prophet ﷺ and tread the suluk of the Sahaba radwanullahi ta'ala alayhim ajma'in. May Allah accept this gathering. Subhanallah bihamdi, subhanakallahumma bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. One more dua. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all the ability to pray our 2 rakat before we pass away too, inshallah al-aziz. All of us, inshallah al-aziz. There was one of our teachers, Shaykh Islam al-Haq. He taught Sahih al-Bukhari and Darul Bari from the beginning, almost from the very beginning. He was the teacher of Sahih al-Bukhari and Darul Bari. He taught for many, many years. And subhanallah, when he passed away in Medina Munawwara, in tahajjud salah while he was in sajda. He passed away like this, no one realized until finally his body fell over and they realized that Shaykh Islam al-Haq had passed away. So these are the servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who Allah truly blesses. Hazrat Uthman radiallahu anh, what kind of shahada was he given? He passed away while reciting the Quran. Subhanallah. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how did he pass away? He passed away while doing miswak. Hazrat Umar radiallahu anh, when was this attack made? While he was praying his salah. So these Sahaba, subhanAllah, look at how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had truly accepted them, that they were given all the chance to pass away in a good way. So this is the dua that we should always make. The dua that a person should always make is, oh Allah, give me the best of all deaths. You know, the Prophet, what was the dua? The Prophet used to make the dua that, oh Allah, وَجَعَلْ خَيْرَ أَيَّامِ يَوْمَ أَلْقَاكَ يَا رَبَّ الْعَالَمِينَ. Oh Allah, make the best day of my life the day I come to meet you. So people, they have good days in their life, they're young, they're attending the lectures, they're having a lot of good days, they're praying their salah, praying their tarawih. And then what happens is the last part of their life gets messed up. And then they say when they get old, oh, when I was young I used to do this, I used to do that, and I used to go to the masjid, and I used to go to this jamaat, and I used to do this, I used to do this, read this many Qurans. They boast over their youth. But the present day, they have nothing at all. So the Prophet ﷺ is saying that, oh Allah, don't make my youth the best day, make my last day the best day of my life. That the things that happened before, Allah will forgive all of them, inshallah, because the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ is, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالْخَوَاتِيمِ. The hadith of the Prophet ﷺ is, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالْخَوَاتِيمِ. Their actions are according to their endings. The way a person ends his life is the way Allah will treat this person. Therefore, the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, مَنْ كَانَ آخِرُ كَلَامِهِ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ دَخَلَ الْجَنَّةِ. Whoever utters the last word of his life as La ilaha illallah, what will happen to this person? He will gain entry into paradise. So explaining this hadith, the muhaddithin say that the best way for a person to understand why the one who recites the last words La ilaha illallah will gain entry into paradise is because the Prophet says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that actions are according to their endings. The way a person ends his life is the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept his entire life. So this is the dua that we should make, that, oh Allah, make the last day of our life the best day of our life, inshallah al-aziz. Up and downs may happen while we're living our life. Some days we may be good, some days we may be bad, some days we may prove ourselves to be the worst of all creation. But then some days will come to where we feel that, alhamdulillah, spiritually we're charged. But the last day of our life should be the best day. And for this, one of the best du'as to read that has been prescribed in the Quran, رَبَّنَا لَا تُزِغْ قُلُوبَنَا بَعْدَ إِذْ هَدَيْتَنَا وَهَبْ لَنَا مِنْ لَدُنْكَ رَحْمَةً إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْوَهَّابُ. And another dua was a dua made by Yusuf alayhi salam. Yusuf alayhi salam made a very beautiful dua. And the Quran also narrated that رَبِّ قَدْ آتَيْتَنِي مِنَ الْمُلْكِ وَعَلَّمْتَنِي مِنْ تَأْوِيلِ الْأَحَادِيثِ فاطر السماوات والأرض أنت ولي في الدنيا والآخرة. What's after that? توفني مسلما وألحقني بالصالحين. Oh Allah, Yusuf alayhi salam, he made dua, oh Allah, you gave me everything. He praised Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then he said, oh Allah, one thing I would like to make dua, and I'd like to supplicate from you and ask from you, that, oh Allah, توفني مسلما, oh Allah, give me shahada basically call on my death while I'm a believer. Give me iman at the time of my death. وَأَلْحِقْنِي بِالصَّالِحِينَ. And after I pass away, oh Allah, resurrect me along with the pious servants. Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he was passing away, he called all of his children nearby. Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he was passing away, what did he do? أم كنتم شهداء إذ حضر not Ibrahim alayhi salam, إذ حضر يعقوب الموت. When Yaqub alayhi salam was passing away, sorry. No, sorry, not Yaqub alayhi salam, Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he was passing away, he called all of his children. And he said to the children that my wasiyah to you, my advice to you is that when you pass away, وَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ إِلَّا وَأَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ, that don't leave this world without iman. You could lose everything in this world, there's nothing to cry over. But if there is anything to cry over, is leaving the world without your iman, without Islam. This is something that you should cry over. So this is the very same thing that we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah, give us the ability to pray 2 rakat before we pass away too, inshallah al-aziz, and make the last moment of our life the best of our life, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward us in the hereafter. Subhanallah bihamdi, subhanakallahumma bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk, wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.